Hello, my name is Brad Hughes. I will be the advisor on your 401k plan. We will go through this, learn how your plan is designed, and there are some other videos where you can learn how to enroll, about the investment options, and other items. If we think about why you should consider joining European Auto Services 401k plan, the process is easy. Once you're enrolled, contributions go in with each and every pay period. There is an employer match. There are some income tax benefits built into 401k plans. Any growth within the plan grows compounded. You have loan access to your funds through loans, and Social Security alone will not be enough for the average person to retire on. We think about Social Security, it replaces about 27% of your income today in retirement. So that means the other 73% has to come from something such as retirement savings, pensions, other assets, part-time work, things of that nature. And obviously, fewer and fewer people have access to pensions. So a 401k plan such as this is one of the greatest ways to fill that gap between what Social Security provides you and what you will need to live off of in retirement. If we think about the world today, two-thirds of people are struggling with household expenses. More than half have decided to postpone retirement. 1 in 4 have less than 1,000 saved for retirement. And all of these statistics were as of 2022. So they're relatively recent, and most are a result of the pandemic crisis. We think about when you can join your plan and when you're eligible. Once you have worked for European Auto Services for at least 1 year and work 1,000 hours in that year, and you're 21 years of age, you have the ability to join the plan. Entry dates are monthly. So as an example, if you were to enroll in February, contributions would start for the first pay period in March. The employer match is a very rich match. So European Auto Service will match 100% of the first 4% of your compensation. If you put in 2%, they'll match 2%. If you were to put in 10% of your pay, they still will only match you 4% of your compensation each and every pay period. Additionally, these contributions are immediately vested for you. So you do not have to be employed a certain number of years to be able to take the match with you should you leave. If you choose to contribute, you essentially have 4 decisions to make. How much you wish to contribute. It's either a percentage of pay, gross pay, or a dollar amount per pay period. Contribution type, pre-tax or Roth after tax. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Investment selection and beneficiary designation. So if we think about pre-tax versus Roth contributions, pre-tax tends to make the most sense if you are closer to retirement or you are owing the IRS when you file your income tax return. Pre-tax contributions reduce your income today. So as an example, if your W-2 normally reads $50,000, you contribute $2,000 throughout the course of the year, it's going to look like to the IRS that you only made $48,000 in that case. Because you received that deduction today to your income, when you go to take withdrawals in retirement, it is taxable at that time. So you do not owe any taxes until you actually take a withdrawal. So say you are 30 years old and you're going to contribute for the next 30 years, all of those contributions, all of that growth up until you retire and take that first withdrawal, you do not owe any taxes on that at that time. But you take that first withdrawal, as long as that withdrawal is after age 59 and a half, it's just whatever your income tax bracket is at that time. If you take a withdrawal before 59 and a half, there's an additional 10% tax penalty on top of the ordinary income that you would owe. Roth after tax tends to make the most sense if you're further away from retirement. So if you're younger and receiving a refund when you file your taxes. Roth after tax works essentially the opposite of pre-tax. Same 50,000 on your W-2, you contribute 2,000. You still pay tax on the full 50,000, but what you've contributed plus all the growth in the future, you're able to take out income tax free. So again, the longer it's able to be in that account, the more impactful that Roth contribution tends to be. If we think about tax deferred growth and the compounding effect, this looks at a couple different scenarios. Both are investing $150 per month, growing at 8% over a 30-year time period. The example at the bottom, the light blue, is in a taxable investment account. So any interest dividends that are generated each year, you pay tax on those at the end of that year. You still have 150 a month that turns into a little under 145,000 at the end of 30 years. But the 225,000, the darker blue, is inside of a retirement account. Same $150 per month is invested, same rate of return, the 8% per year. but those interest and dividends that are generated, you do not pay tax on them in that current year. They're actually reinvested in the account and allows the account to grow that much more. Then once you get to the end of that 30-year time period, that 225,000, if you made pre-tax contributions, you'd be taxed on any withdrawals that you took at that time. And usually people will take those withdrawals in smaller amounts, 10, 15, $20,000 at a time. You're only taxed on the amount that you actually withdraw. If you did if you did Roth after-tax contributions, that 225,000 would be able to be withdrawn income tax-free in the future. Investment selections. There are 4 ways to invest in the plan. There is a Transamerica Stable Value. This cannot lose money. It earns approximately 2% per year. It is a fixed account. The younger you are, the less sense this probably makes. But if you want some portion of your account that is not tied to stocks or bonds and would not fluctuate as much, this would be the option to select. There are target date funds, which are the default in the plan. So when you go through the enrollment process, it'll actually pick one for you based on your date of birth. They're age-based models. They're more aggressive when you're younger. They get more conservative as you get closer to retirement. On the next slide, we'll actually look more, dive deeper and look more at what those look like. There are balanced funds from both Vanguard and American funds. These are a combination of stock and bond, but they do not change as you get closer to retirement. And then beyond that, there's 19 additional mutual funds from conservative to aggressive if you choose to pick your own investments. We think about the default investment option, the target date funds. They are from BlackRock, and they are a combination of stock and bond. If you look at what's on the screen there, the blue at the bottom is your stock exposure. So from age 35 and younger, it's all stock, no bond. From age 35 to 65, you can see the stock exposure automatically decreases each and every year, usually by about 2% per year until it ends up at 40% at age 65, or what is viewed as retirement age. And then it is filled in with a combination of that stable value or fixed account and bonds. If we think about the difference between stocks and bonds, stocks are positive 7.5 out of every 10 years or negative every 2.5 out of 10. The average rate of return going back to 1980 is about 8%. A good year, you could earn 20%. A bad year, you could lose 20%. So if you're in the plan long enough, there will be some periods of time where stocks will lose money for you, but over a long period of time, it will give you the greatest ability for growth within the plan. Bonds tend to be more conservative, so they have less upside, less downside potential. Bonds are positive 8.5 out of every 10 years. A good year for bonds, you could earn 5%. A bad year, you could lose 4%. And an average return for bonds going back to 1980 is about 3 or 4%. And that's why as you get closer to retirement, that stock exposure is reduced, the bond exposure is increased, so that if you're 2 or 3 years from retirement and the stocks do go down, have a big negative year, you're considerably less impacted and you don't have to worry about delaying retirement or making tough decisions at that point. Your 4th decision is beneficiary designation. If you're married, it should be your spouse. If you do not want it to be your spouse, there is an additional form that you'll sign and they'll notarize, letting Transamerica know that they are aware you're not naming them. If you're not married, you get to name anybody that you choose to. You can have more than one if you're not married. You can have 2, 3, 4, however many beneficiaries you choose to have. And then you can also name a contingent beneficiary. So if you were married and had children, you can name your children as contingent beneficiaries. I normally do not recommend that if they are minors. If they're minors and something happened to both you and your spouse at the same time, the courts come in and decide how the money gets spent for the children until they reach age 18. And then anything left over, they normally receive as a lump sum. So both of those instances probably are not what you were wanting. So if you are married, have children, if you have a trust, I would name that trust as contingent beneficiary. If not, I would name who you have named as their guardian as that contingent beneficiary. Lastly, if we think about how you can access your account, once you're in the plan, you do have the ability to take a loan against your plan, against your account balance. Minimum loan is $1,000, maximum loan is $50,000. You can borrow up to half of your account balance. The benefits are you're borrowing your own money and paying the interest back into your account. Those loan repayments happen automatically through payroll. There is an interest rate on it. It is 1% over prime rate, and which means the loan interest rate right now is 9.5%. The cost to borrow, the negative to a 401k loan, the amount you borrow no longer has the ability to earn for you, so it's not invested at that point. And then loans can be paid back over 5 years, or if it is a loan for your primary residence, as long as 15 years. Lastly, if you take out a loan and then leave the employer, that loan must be paid back in 30 to 90 days, or the loan becomes taxable to you. And if you're under 59 and a half, it would have that 10% penalty in addition to income tax associated with it. You also have the ability to do hardship withdrawals. So the reasons for those are there on the page. Some of these are taxable, some are not. They all require some level of proof prior to the money coming out of the account. If we think about loans on the previous slide, loans you don't have to prove the reason that you're taking the loan out, but hardship withdrawals, the IRS is very much involved in, and you do have to show the need before the money can actually come out of the account. And again, most of these are taxable to you as well. Lastly, if you have a balance at an old employer for a prior 401k plan and you want to roll that over, either I can assist you with that or Transamerica can, whichever you prefer. So thank you for taking the time to learn more about your plan. And there are some other slide decks or other recordings that you'll see to learn more about the investment options, how to enroll, things of that nature. Thank you very much.